Hey guys, Aaron and Eric here from Matt Kite. Today we're going to talk about the experienced kiteboarder's progression into wing foiling.
As I've said in the past, trial and error equals pain.
Yeah.
And that's what I did to learn. Well, there was no instruction in 2019. I had to figure it out myself.
Yes.
And I figured it out the hard way, so you don't have to.
And he did too.
So, yes, a kite
Yeah.
is like a wing, and the
Yep.
wing just doesn't have lines.
Yep.
Your kiteboarding does help.
Yeah. Big time.
But it's not magic.
Yeah, just an understanding of the wind.
Right, an understanding of the wind, having board skills. Problem I've come into is I've had a lot of kiteboarders say, I'm an expert, I don't need lessons, just let me take the foil board and I'm going to do it. I can get on a ride right now.
Yeah, it's just different enough, I feel like.
It's different enough.
You might have some successes, but it's just different enough. Yep.
Now I'm going to go through something, but in advance I'm going to tell you if you're an expert kite foiler, you can learn the progression in 5 hours.
Yeah.
Everybody else is 20 hours.
Yep.
And we're going to explain why.
Yep.
So in 1982, I taught myself to windsurf and how to teach. If I had taken lessons, I would have cut years off the learning curve.
Yep.
In 1999, I got a few lessons at Kite Beach in Maui because Robbie Nash hooked me up with one of the pros.
Yep.
He saw me teaching windsurfing and said, please quit windsurfing.
Yeah.
I was shocked. He said, no, we need good instructors for kiteboarding. So I got involved with an instructional progression.
Yes.
As I said before, in 2017, I taught myself how to foil with a surfboard, and I went straight to the waves, which was about the stupidest thing I could have done.
Right. So, it's understandable, but yes,
learn from my stupidity.
Mm-hmm.
So, 2019, I got my new wing from Tucker at Matt Kite. It's on the other side of the lake.
Yep.
I got it. I wanted to use it right away. I went in the water. I got my ass kicked. I didn't get one single ride.
Yep.
So then I rode back and forth on the sand, running with the sail, running with the wing,
getting familiar with how it manages
transitions.
power.
I did that for 3 hours.
Yep.
Then I went on a paddleboard for an hour. I never even fell once because I had kite skills and surfing skills, but mainly because I spent 3 hours on the beach doing land simulation.
Yeah.
When I got on my foil board, I was foiling within a couple of hours.
Yep. Perfect.
So, just because you're an experienced kiteboarder doesn't mean you're going to be instantly wing foiling.
Yeah, and that's...
If you go into it with the expectation, you're going to be humiliated, you're going to be frustrated, and I've seen guys who are really good kiteboarders try it for an hour the hard way, quit, and never go back.
Yep.
There are guys who bought the equipment, it's in their garage, and after 1 hour, they stopped trying and they went back to kiteboarding and they said, oh, wing foiling sucks. No. Your progression sucked.
Yeah. And our ego
is big.
Got in the way.
Hey, I got an ego.
We all
kicked me in the ass many times.
We all I think to recognize it and to stop and to take a breath and humble yourself is hard for most of us. And that's where especially coming from kiteboarding, been doing that for a couple of decades or more, and then having experienced kite foiling, understanding how the hydrofoil works. The wind knowledge and utilization of the hydrofoil were definitely massive. Yep, those were too big.
Any foiling, even behind a boat, wake foiling, it's helpful.
Yeah.
But you really have to master all the pieces specific to the gear you're going to be using, because a wing foil board is larger than a wake foil.
Yeah.
The hydrofoils we use are, in general rule, are significantly larger.
Yeah.
They have different personalities, like the difference between a Z28 and a school bus, and a minivan and a sedan. They are all different turning radiuses. They have different acceleration. Get used to your equipment.
Yes. Amen.
If you want to learn this the easy way, 1, fly the wing on land, practice rising from one knee while pumping it to rise, run to the left, run to the right, switching hands.
Perfect.
Use a paddle board, or if you don't have a paddle board, take the foil out of your board and put a pair of surf fins into those tracks.
That works great.
It works great, it's really easy, and while you're learning to get up on the board, which you're going to do a lot of times, in the beginning, it's easy to forget that that foil's right there under the water, and you know, your shins can take a beating.
For sure.
It's a good idea to wear a long wetsuit just for a little extra protection.
Now, when you say surf fins, your standard FCS fin, obviously, or future fin is not going to work there, but a longboard fin.
A longboard fin, a windsurfing
that'll go
fin,
right into the track.
Go right into the track, nice and easy, and you can put 2 of them in there, so even if they're short, they're side by side, so they have a little bit extra power like that. So you got your 2 surf fins in the foil tracks. Spend about an hour or 2 in medium to strong wind, riding your board on your knees.
Yeah.
Well, sure, you can stand up, but if you're on your knees, you're not going to fall down. You're going to learn faster. You're not going to waste energy. You want to be having your board planing, winging on your knees, so that you feel the changes in the wind, because the faster you go, the more you have to point it into the apparent wind.
Yes.
If you accelerate before you move, kind of like going into a turn on a bicycle, turning first and then trying to lean, you're a little bit late. You got to lean into the turn.
That's not going to work well.
So the other good thing about being on your knees is that it forces you to keep the wing almost straight overhead.
Oh, sure, yeah, because otherwise you're going to be dipping the wing tip.
Windsurfers are flying the sail down here. A lot of wingers are at a 45-degree angle, but you really only need 1 or 2 degrees angle. And if you're on your knees,
get that
if
lift.
you put it more than 45 degrees, you're going to drag a wingtip. It forces you to have the discipline to keep the sail pretty high.
Perfect.
Why do you want the sail high? Well, when the wing's straight in front of you, it's pulling you this way. And just a gust of wind on foil can put more toe pressure, which throws you over. If it's up here, a gust of wind only makes you lighter. It's overhead and you're lighter, it requires less forward speed to stay flying.
Makes perfect sense.
So you're way better, almost right over your head most of the time, a little bit down. When you see guys out here, they're racing for money.
Sure.
And they're uncomfortable. So
and
keep your good posture. So after you've done that on your knees and you're very comfortable, spend 2 to 3 hours in medium to strong wind, standing. But without the foil.
Got it.
Pumping the wing, ollieing the board, trying to push sideways against those fins, getting used to all these subtle motions. But without the foil on, you're not going to accidentally rise up and have some spectacular crashes. If you take the time to do this and you rest regularly and you hydrate, you're going to progress smoothly. You're going to avoid most of the pitfalls that people teaching themselves go through.
And this is a bit of the tortoise and the hare concept, right? I mean, you can obviously, you might progress and race forward in some of these aspects. However, I feel like the slow and steady approach and the methodical approach that you always are preaching and telling us about makes much better sense, especially for the average rider.
If you force yourself to progress rapidly, you're going to eventually come up against a wall. You're on a plateau, you can't get to the next level, and you're going to find that the only way to get to the top of the mountain is to go all the way to the bottom of the mountain,
and start over.
Go all the way around to the backside, and go up the logical progression. So take your time. Another reason for the fins, the twin fins rather than foil, is every time you foil, you run the risk of getting your board leash and your wrist leash wrapped around the mast in the foil. So let's say you've fallen, the board turns around, and suddenly your ankle and your wrist, they're stuck together somewhere underwater, and the board's bouncing around, and you're trying to get things untangled. If you don't have the mast there and the foil there, you're getting the basics. You're going to learn those little things without the tangles. And then when you have those dialed in and you stop making those rookie mistakes and you put the foil on, you're less likely to make a rookie mistake that makes you double tangle.
Absolutely.
The double tangle is very unpleasant. It's claustrophobic. So you really want to focus on that. You're going to want to ride your foil board behind your boat. or somebody else's boat.
And the actual, no, we've taken out before with, and we've gone wake foiling, obviously, but I think it's important to take your actual wing foil board and the hydrofoil that you're going to be using.
That's when you're going to figure out the mast placement.
Yeah, yeah.
And if there's a problem, you sit on it, and the boat comes over, and you relax, you sit on the back of the boat, and you change it, and you find out exactly where the foil needs to be for your board and your weight.
Love it, yeah.
You get plenty of practice. If there's a problem, you just jump off the back, the boat comes.
And you can use a PWC too. You can use a Sea-Doo, jet ski, whatever, maybe not a stand-up jet ski obviously, but I mean a personal watercraft that you don't need much power to ride, I guess is where we're saying. But
you can use a rowboat with 10 horsepower.
Yeah.
The one thing about the PWC is once you lift off and you have less resistance, the jet ski or PWC, it was putting on a lot of power getting you going, but when you release your leverage, it shoots forward and goes a lot faster.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Trying to control
it's hard,
this,
yes.
it's hard. It's very hard to keep. Yep. I taught wakeboarding with the Sea-Doo Wakeboard Edition.
Sure.
17 years ago.
Yeah.
And by the end of the summer, I had carpal tunnel so bad.
Yeah, right. Trying to throttle control.
Yeah, throttle control, always doing this, that I decided it's better to use a boat with a throttle that will stay perfect.
Yep,
so,
I agree.
When you see guys riding behind jet skis, most of them are advanced.
Yeah.
And they've got plenty of practice on it, and their friends are really good. They're doing it just right. Having someone who doesn't foil and hasn't towed a foiler is not the right person to pull you on a watercraft.
Right. But it can be done, is what
it
we
can be done.
wanted
Yes,
to
it can be done, but it is more difficult.
Yep.
I would rather have a friend with 10 horsepower in a rowboat than a friend with a jet ski.
Yeah, I could see that.
So you've got your 5 hours of on your knees and on standing, pumping, riding in good wind on the board without the foil. You got your 5 hours mastering your foiling behind a boat or an e-foil. And it's going to be about 10 hours putting them together so you can consistently fly in a straight line to the left and to the right. I don't advise going to toe side.
Yeah, right.
And the reason I don't is people who master going heel side, toe side with the turn in between, they don't want to fall anymore, and if they're going to try to do it switch, they're going to fall a lot.
Yep.
And a lot of them go for several years and they never ride switch.
Yeah.
It's like a snowboarder who only rides dominant.
Yep.
You want to ride both directions.
Yeah, big advantage to that.
So you really can't learn to fly a wing over your head with your hands while you're learning to fly a hydrofoil with your feet.
Yeah. Yep.
So separate your skills. You're going to be a lot happier.
Yep. Amen.
Take the time. Every step of this is enjoyable.
Yeah.
If you do it slowly, it's also relaxing.
Yes.
If you rush the process, it's not relaxing, it's not enjoyable. You have a reasonable chance of getting hurt the way I did.
Yep.
Because
there's lots of challenges.
There's a lot of challenges. Yep. Wear your helmet, wear your vest.
Yeah, absolutely. Always.
Okay, let's say that you've got a wing foil board and you don't have access to a boat. Yeah, you can learn this way.
Yes. Yep.
But I would strongly suggest you spend an extra 10 hours on the paddle board or your foil board with just the fins so that you aren't making any mistakes, and everything with the sail, everything with the board is instinctive, so that you can do these without thinking while you're thinking about teaching yourself to ride a foil.
Sure, yes.
It can be done. Plenty of people have done it.
Yep.
But just plan on spending an extra 10 hours.
Perfect.
Fly in straight lines. Don't go for your transitions.
Yeah, right.
Get perfect with your straight lines.
Real
perfect with your pumping. You know, I went through how to pump. I went through a lot of things already, so we're not going to get into that again. But take your time with the process. Do your upwind transitions before you try your downwind transitions. So when you are getting good at pumping, most people, they're flying in a straight line, they're having fun, they start to come off plane, that's when they say they're going to pump.
Sure.
It's a little late.
Mm-hmm.
You should be gently getting a rhythm of up and down, not necessarily putting power into it,
but just
you're
to,
doing
just to understand the mechanics.
Gentle bit. And that way, anytime you slow down, you're already in a rhythm to start a little little more power into it and keep going. So it's much better to start pumping before you need it. You're reading the wind. You look up ahead. When you're looking where you're going, that's not going to be the wind that's there when you get there. That's going to be downwind. You want to look 15 degrees upwind, because by the time you get here, those gusts or those lulls in the wind is what you're going to go to.
Yep.
If you sail into a hole, slow down and start pumping, it's too late. If you see there's going to be a hole, you start pumping the sail, you start pumping the board for the first 3 to 5 seconds before you hit it. You've accelerated, you're in a rhythm, you can pump through it, get to the other side where the wind is. Conversely, if you're riding in nice wind this way, but you see a lot of wind spraying, you know, the tops of the waves off, the foam's being blown off, you know there's a gust 15 degrees up. As you approach, before you hit the gust, throw the sail back, turn up wind, get the sail up over your head, because when the gust hits, you're going to be able to dump the wind, spill a little excess wind, but it's over your head, so it's making you taller, making you lighter, so you can be going upwind, which is always nice to get farther upwind, because then you can ride waves downwind. But the sail's up here, it's not bending you over. You're right here, and you're just cruising along, and then when the gust is over, head across the wind again. So
that makes great
strategy makes a really big difference. And if you're not riding, but you're people riding, look at them, start reading the water, the texture. The darker the color of the water, the more agitation from the wind. The smoother the water, the glassier, the more it reflects the sky, it looks lighter. The concentration of whitecaps will tell you how much wind you have or you don't have coming up. Planning ahead is better than reacting to something that already happened to you. Now, if you don't have twin fins, you can get them from any surfer, because most of them have a box of old fins. But Matt Kite, we do sell twin fins. You can get a pair for $45 from Slingshot. They fit into any tracks. It's very easy.
And that's the Slingshot Supwinder we're talking about.
Well, not the Supwinder. That's the
just the standard.
It's the back fins. And
they're sup fins.
They're sup fins. They just snap in. They're really easy. And I tell you what, it's going to make your learning process a lot simpler. So, and they look like this.
I know what you're talking about. Perfect. So, and guys, as always, if you have questions, please do not hesitate to reach out to us. We are always happy to help. That's what we're here for. Erik, thank you for your time. My name is Aaron. This is Erik. Thank you for joining us, guys. And if you, again, like I say, don't hesitate to reach out. That's what we're here for. And until then, hope to see you guys on the water.